Hi everyone, broadcasting about news from Iceland from an RV. That's Apollo behind me. For those of you who follow my channel, you know where I am and what I'm doing. So Iceland, guys, let's talk about this again. It's not as good as it seems. There's some news from the Icelandic Meteorological Office that do not sound super great for Svartsengi, for the power plant in the Blue Lagoon, and the threat that they're still facing through lava. We will get into this. So there's a little bit of a problem. Then we will also hear about what's going on with the land rise. We have new information there. Then we have information about the Fraggle Rock, guys. We will look into what they're doing and what they have been doing and who these guys are. It's interesting news, guys, so stay tuned with me. We will also hear from the Blue Lagoon what's their latest plan. How can they get the tourists back ASAP into that area that is basically surrounded by an active volcano and its lava flow, and to put a little bit more sugar on the cake, the magma chamber that is fueling this eruption is also right underneath. So I'm sure it's a great pleasure to sit in one of these hot pot pools and swim and enjoy the heat. So guys, I needed to make that joke. If you're following my channel for a while, you know our Lagoonies, you know, they will be back in there very soon. I'm very sure of that. They're working on this. But there's news the Blue Lagoon is going to remain closed. They wanted to reopen today, but I guess the authorities and the scientists told them, well, better not, because as I mentioned in the beginning, there's something still going on that could cause a problem. So let's jump right in. Let's start. Let's start with a picture that they have screenshotted from a new webcam that they have just installed. It's a Met Office webcam, and it was installed yesterday on the west side of Fagradalsfjall, and it looks to the northwest at the last active crater. That's the crater that is the far north crater of all the active craters. The others have subsided, and they can also see not only the active crater in this picture, they can also see the lava that is flowing from it to the southeast. So not to the north, to the southeast. I mean, south, we know what is south, that is Grindavik, but that is not at risk from that lava flow right now. But there is still risk because something is still happening, and that is not so good. But let's go step by step. So what the Met Office says, this eruption, although they thought it's a smaller one, has turned out to be the second largest eruption that has happened in this area in the Sutnuka crater series since November 10, since everything started with this huge magma intrusion, that magma dike that basically came with all these earthquakes and did a lot of damage to Grindavik. So they have also released a new lava flow map. So we want to look at that one as well. So they say they have taken measurements yesterday. So that has been conducted by the experts at the National Institute of Natural Sciences. So they have taken a helicopter, they flew over the eruption centers, and then have tried to really lay out the lava beds for us and to measure them. And this is what was the outcome of that map. And you see the darker purple, that is the lava flow from this eruption, and the lighter purple, that's another eruption, and then it goes into lighter grays. So they're overlapping. And the lava bed right now, the size, how far it has spread out, that is an area of 9.1 square kilometers, and the volume that has come out is 47 million cubic meters. And on average, and this is interesting, guys, how thick is this lava bed? How high? It's very, very high. It's 5 meters on average. So it has some lower spots, but it also has some higher spots. And now let's think about the defense walls that they have built in Grindavik and Svartsengi. So they have built them up originally to 8 meters, and then they had to make them higher because this lava carpet was building on top of each other. And only this new lava flow is 5 meters, but it's also flowing on top of older stuff. So everything in these areas that you see here with these lava flows, it's lifting up. And that's a problem because the next eruption will probably already have a higher level. And then, the more lava we have, the lower spots are created, the more low spots are created inside the defense walls, like Grindavik and Svartsengi. So now the Blue Lagoon and the Svartsengi power plant, they're also quite surrounded by these lava carpets, which are quite high. That's why they have to increase the defense walls constantly, and they're now even using the existing lava beds and the new lava bed to build the wall on top of it. That's why they have used water cooling to cool the edges of that lava bed that was touching the defense walls, and then to be able to push more material on them. But now we have a low spot in Svartsengi. So if the next eruption, let's say, is in a bad spot, that would send a large lava flow again towards Svartsengi. It starts out at a higher elevation already, and if it breaches then the defense walls, it can flow down towards the Blue Lagoon and Svartsengi. And it was really close this time, and they just said they think 1 or 2 eruptions in a bad spot, and they might not be able to protect Svartsengi and Grindavik. That's what the experts are saying. So it sounds to me these defense walls have limits. So when it comes to volume, what has come out of that magma chamber? This is the second largest eruption, and that is quite interesting because they were expecting this eruption to happen in December or now, maybe even Christmas, because they said the magma chamber underneath Svartsengi had only reached the amount that it had when the last eruption started. But there was a trend that was showing that in order to trigger the next eruption, the magma chamber needs to become even fuller. So they thought we need more magma in the magma chamber to trigger the next one. They were wrong. This one came as a surprise. And now it has even sent out that much magma, basically twice the amount of magma that is needed to trigger an eruption. The last eruption was triggered at around 23 million cubic meters of magma in the magma chamber. And this one was triggered at almost the same amount. And now twice as much has gone out. So we still have a nice constant flow, it seems, from the deeper lying magma reservoir. And that's why they're saying there is probably no end to this. And what's happening with the land subsidence? We will look at that too, because we have a clearer picture of that as well. But if you look at that map, you see to the left side, the Blue Lagoon, you see these blue areas, that these are the ponds, the water of the Blue Lagoon, how close this was. So should it breach the walls there, it flows right in. They don't have a chance to divert it. And I want to show you the breach that happened in a previous eruption when the Svartsengi defense wall was breached. That is basically west of Silingerfell. You see that little light gray thing where the lava was coming over the defense wall? It was far enough from Svartsengi, so they were able to cool it with water, to build inside the defense wall a second defense wall to divert it. But look at this. If something like this, that size even, is there where the Blue Lagoon is, there's no way to build a second defense wall that quickly because it flows, right? It was flowing quite quickly. And it was a little bit of a surprise because everything was looking black. There was no visible red glowing lava river on the surface, but underground, the lava was still flowing, pushing towards the defense wall. There was an underground lava tunnel, a lava river with red hot glowing lava. And that was pushing against the defense wall, and then it pushed over the defense wall. And I told you, we have the same issue right now at Svartsengi, at the Blue Lagoon. We don't have that issue where the last breach was. We have it now where the Blue Lagoon is, because if you see that gray area of the previous eruption, that is an elevated lava carpet that has probably diverted the current lava flow further to the west. We'll get into this, I promise. I just want to show you all the latest data from the Met Office. So which lava bed had the largest volume? That was formed in an eruption that lasted for 15 days from August 22nd to September 5th. So that was the last eruption, and that was the largest volume, about 61 million cubic meters. But the current eruption hasn't ended yet, and we already have 47 million cubic meters. So this eruption definitely has the potential to become the largest one. And then is this a new trend, that it gets larger and more from each eruption and not less and less? So that is really, really concerning, because the longer the lava flow and the more lava flow, the more critical it gets for Svartsengi and Grindavik, depending on the location of the eruption. But even if the eruption is going further north, it's threatening Reykjanesbrau, the major highway that connects Reykjavik with Keflavik, the airport, and then down to Svartsengi and Grindavik. And as a comparison, the lava bed that has formed in the eruption from May 29th to June 22nd was also a longer eruption. That's the third largest with 45 million cubic meters. And this is an interesting graph that they have released. You see the blue bars and you see the orange bars. So what we want to look at is the upper graph shows the duration of the eruptions that have occurred in the Sudnuka crater series since November 10th, since everything has started. And you see, wow, they started out very short. They just, after a few days, they were gone until this big blue bar. And then, yeah, they're getting shorter, but still they're way longer than initially. The lower graph shows the volume of the lava beds that have formed in these eruptions. And there we really see that the lava beds seems to be a trend, that they're getting larger. And now we're getting to the bad news. They thought just a few days ago that this was not a problem anymore, but there is evidence of magma that is continuing to flow from a depth from underneath that black carpet into the accumulation zone beneath Svartsengi. So the deformation measurements in the Svartsengi area continue to show small changes from day to day. So what they are saying now, this is an indication that we might have a balanced flow. So it indicates that the inflow into the magma chamber underneath Svartsengi is comparable to what's coming out of the volcanic eruption. So it's balanced right now. The land is not subsiding anymore, so means the magma chamber is not emptying out any further. It might be empty already, probably, but we have enough coming back from the deeper lying magma reservoir, and that is flowing right out. We've had that before, so this can take a while. This eruption can take a while longer. What they have measured for the time from November 23rd to November 28th, the average lava flow that is coming out from that crater, from that eruption, was about 11 cubic meters per second. And yesterday they have made new measurements and they think that the flow is between 7 and 8 cubic meters. So that's normal. It's slowing down, but now it seems to be quite steady. So they think that today the flow is somewhere between 5 and 10 cubic meters per second. So probably still in the same range like yesterday. They have a new risk map. The risk assessment has been updated. Basically, there are not many changes. This new map is valid until December 3rd. So the overall risk for all zones is unchanged, but there is a change in area 1, that's Svartsengi. There is the risk of gas pollution that is now considered considerable, but it also was previously considered very high. So they can get the toxic volcanic gas at any time, and the winds can change quickly, and then it's really an issue. And that's also an issue for the Blue Lagoon, should the tourists be back there. But how can the tourists be back there? If you look at the lava flow carpet, definitely not from Grindavik or Vegur, but they're creative and they already have a plan. So they will have a bus stop close to the Blue Lagoon. How are they doing this? So the Blue Lagoon says that they think that a bus depot will be located somewhere close to the Blue Lagoon. So they have to build this somewhere because the current parking lot has been destroyed by the lava flow, including a maintenance building for the bus drivers. So the manager of sales and marketing and service of the Blue Lagoon, Helga Arnardottir, she says they will have somewhere this bus depot. They have lost about 350 parking spaces for the Blue Lagoon because of this lava flow, including all the bus stops. And as things are looking now, the only way to get to the Blue Lagoon is basically from Grindavik, from south to north. So you have to drive from there, because you can't come from Reykjanesbrod anymore. The access road Grindavik-Vegur is destroyed by the lava flow again. So definitely the Blue Lagoon is closed over the weekend. That's what the police chief of Sudorns has also said. And he will meet with the Blue Lagoon management on Monday afternoon to review the situation and also in light of what's going on at the eruption site. Right now, nobody is allowed to enter the Svartsengi area. That includes the Blue Lagoon unless they have business to do there. The area can be accessed through Grindavik, through both access road from the west and to the east, that is Nesvegur and Sudorstrandavegur, but no tourists, nothing. There is a lot of traffic of heavy machinery because there is work still being done to raise the defense walls. And they do not expect that this work will be done anytime today, tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow. But people are back living in Grindavik in 43 houses. So 43 houses were occupied last night. Also, the seafood company Vedur has full operations in Grindavik again, and about 100 people are working for that company every day. Let's talk about our Fraggle Rock guys a little bit, and I'm very happy that they finally get some personal recognition in the Icelandic news as well. And you have to be aware that, and that's what they're saying, the defense walls that they have built, they're up to 12 meters high on average, but they're higher in some areas, and they're 14 kilometers long. You have to really let that sink in how much that is. And they have moved about 3 million cubic meters of material. And when they were building a power plant, they only moved like 7.5 million cubic meters, but it took them 5 years to build that power plant. So they have been working basically non-stop. And there is a manager of one of the companies that supplies staff. And basically what he says right now it's common for people to submit 300 working hours per month. So if you compare that to a normal work life with an 8-hour working day in the normal job market, people work 173 hours a month. So these guys are really, really awesome. And you know, there's some pictures of the guys who drive the dozers, and Baldwin Christiansson, for example, he leaves at 6 in the morning at his place and he comes home at 9:30 in the evening. Many of these contractors, many of these guys, they don't live right there. They come from further away. And it's interesting, he says when the earthquakes happened and he was there basically as a first response, he didn't even dare to pee, because he says you couldn't even support yourself even if you were leaning on your car. And he started laughing when he said that. That's how massive these earthquakes were that happened on November 10th. And there's another worker, Kaki Asmundarsson. He says the goodbyes are getting harder when he has to leave his family and his children so often, because it still looks like there's no end in sight for these guys. They still have to work. But what they're reporting is, and you see a picture here from their work meeting, that the spirits are good. They're in a good mood. So they still take it in a good way. They say it happens that you get very, very tired, but the spirit of the group is very, very good, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. That's what they're saying. The morale is very, very good. And they're saying it helps that everything that we're doing has such a purpose. And it really does. Without them, Grindavik would be destroyed. Svartsengi would be gone. The Blue Lagoon would be gone. So these are great pictures of these guys. You know, it puts faces to the people that we have seen, or, you know, we've seen their results, how they are on standby, closing gaps on the roads when the lava is coming, and when the next eruption happens, depending on the location of the eruptions, they rush there. They start building defense walls, lava cooling, all that stuff. We've just seen it, how quick they were to close that road gap at the Blue Lagoon when they noticed, oops, this time the lava is really flowing very, very far. Has never flowed that far. So these guys are great, and I thought it would be interesting for you guys to see them. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I have an announcement to make for my buymeacoffee.com website. The link is in the description of this video, by the way, or here, that barcode. And you guys, thank you so much for supporting me there, for helping me to pay this monstrous vet bill for the radiation for Apollo. It helps so much. You have no idea, guys. And now they have a new feature there that I can reply to your messages with a video reply. They only allow 30 seconds. So if my reply stops all of a sudden, then it's not me, it's them, because I don't want to look down all the time and count the seconds while I'm talking to you guys. So for everyone who bought me a coffee there and left a message, I am replying to you now, and it seems to work. Let me know. So I just wanted to let you know about that. And thank you so much for your supers, for your support here through YouTube. It means so much, and I hope to see you very, very soon in the next video. And for those of you who have a closer interest of what we're doing with Apollo and where I am, check out my playlists, the RV travel, taking the RV to save my dog's life. It's a playlist there. I'm releasing updates about how things are going. So you guys are absolutely awesome, and I see you very soon. Be safe. Bye bye.